soldier, are you ready to travel into the wild blue yonder today? I hope you are. Today we're continuing our EOG boot camp. Today is day number 4 at the Uno, Dos, Tres, Cuatro. And today we're going to be talking about expressions along with one of my favorite topics, soldier, distributive property. Guess what? Drill Sergeant Reid is back, and it's time for you to get that bed made, get your shoes shined, and get in line, soldier. 10 hut and suck in that gut, and let's get down to it. EOG Boot Camp Day 4 is beginning right now. So go ahead and get out your little paper or print it off. Today we're going to be doing the one about expressions and distributive property. Are you ready? Here we go. Pull up those bootstraps and let's start marching. All right. So first thing I want to talk about is actually going to do this box on the right hand side over here. So I just want to remind you, when we combine like terms, okay, like terms means they have the same variable. So if they've got the same variable, you can put them together, okay? So like the x's go with the x's and the n's go with the n's and so forth. And then those plain old numbers, okay, those plain Janes, those plain numbers, they are known as constants. So don't forget that. Plain numbers are known as constants. Okay, so we're just going to start out with some easy ones. And let's see. Let's take this little box right here, soldier, and let's divide her up into 3 basically equal sections here. Try to divide it into thirds. All right. Everybody see that all right? So let's do this one first. Let's say we've got 3x plus 8 plus x plus 11. Okay? So nothing too hard to get you woke up here first thing in the morning, soldier. Now what I want you to realize is, of course, these have the x on them. They're like terms. These plain old numbers here that don't have any variable on the end, they are called constants. Okay? But see right here, there's no number in front of this x. Okay? So if you want to put in a number, hope you know that you can put in the number 1 right there. So we can stick the number 1 in there. Of course, I'm going to put the 3x plus the 1x, going to add them together, and that is going to give me 4x. Okay? Then I'm going to take my constants, which are 8 and 11. I'm going to put a little box around them. And 8 plus 11 is 19. So if we were going to simplify that and combine our like terms and constants, that would give us a simplified expression of 4x plus 19. Okay, this is an expression because it does not have an equal sign on it. Okay, we're not setting equal to anything, so these are just called expressions. Let's try one that's a little bit harder. Got a few more terms in it, so let's see if we can write this down. Oh, all right. So let's say we've got 14x plus 7n plus 3y minus 6x minus 5n plus 7y. Okay, so this one's got a few more terms. Actually, it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 terms. And this one doesn't have any constants in it, okay? So this particular one has no constants. So let's go through and talk about these. So we've got 14x here and minus 6x. So we'd want to put those together, the 14x and the minus 6. And of course, 14x minus 6x would give you 8x. Then let's go to the n's. We got 7n minus 5n. So we're going to take and put those together. What's 7n minus 5n? If you combine those together, that would give you a positive 2n. All right, the last one we'll do here, I'll put them in triangles. That would be 3y plus 7y. And 3y plus 7y, of course, would give you 10y. Now, the only thing I really don't like about that is not in alphabetical order, okay? So would you like you to put the variables in alphabetical order? So if we're going to do that and actually put it in the right order, of course, n comes first, so it would be 2n plus 8x plus 10y. Okay, so you probably want to put it in alphabetical order. Alphabetical order. We like order, right? Order is important here at our ranks in boot camp, so make sure you got everything in the right order. Otherwise, you might lose some MP. Okay? Let's do one that's got some of them, what are them things called? Exponents, yeah, them. Let's do some of them that's got some exponents. So here's what we're going to do here. All right, so let's say we've got 12x to the second power plus a 5n plus a 12x that does not have anything to the second power plus 5n squared plus 3x squared plus 7n squared. Okay? So in this case, we've got some that are just a plain power, some that are squared. So let's go through, and what we want to do here is, and not only are we going to do them in alphabetical order, soldier, but we're going to do them based on power. So right here, I've got a 5n that I see right here. Now there are none of the rest of them that have just a plain n, so that one is going to come first, okay, 5n. I've got that one, so I'm going to check it off. So then the next one I'm looking for, some plain power, would just be 12x, and there's not any more plain x's, so I'm going to write it down. Now, let's start to see if we see some n squareds. I do. I see some n squareds there and some n squareds there. So I'm going to add those together. 5n squared plus 7n squared. That would give me 12n squared. Alright, so I got them out of the way. And then I've got some x squareds. I got 12x squared plus 3x squared. So I'm going to put them together. And 12x squared plus 3x squared would give me 15x squared, okay? So put the plain ones that don't have an exponent first, then do the ones that do have an exponent. Make sure you put them in alphabetical order. 5n plus 12x plus 12n squared plus 15x squared. All right, let's travel on over here and talk about distributive property. All right, so we did distributive property. Remember, you're going to take and maybe use that little arrow method that I taught you earlier in the year. So we're going to distribute and kind of give some things out here. So let's say we've got one that's all positive, okay? So we'll do that one first. 3, and then n plus 5 is on the inside. And we'll kind of split this up too, okay? So it's going to look something like that, okay? So we're going to do 3 times n and 3 times 5. So what is 3 times n, and then what's 3 times 5, okay? Well, 3 times n, of course, is 3n, and 3 times 5, I wrote 15 there, 3 times 5 is 15. So when you distribute that out, 3 times n is 3n, and 3 times 5 is 15. All right, so that's how to do it with positives. Now, here's the important thing I want to talk to you about. Let's do it with some negatives now. We got negative 3 on the outside of x plus 7, okay? I'll divide that off too. So negative 3 times x and negative 3 times 7 is what we're doing here. So negative 3 times x plus negative 3 times 7. All right, so negative 3 times x would give you negative 3x. And negative 3 times 7, of course, that reviews our integer rules. A negative times a positive is a negative. So you're probably going to see it like this, negative 21. Now just remember, you could write it like this, negative 3x plus negative 21, but you're more than likely going to see it like that, negative 3x minus 21. That's probably going to be what you're going to see on the EOG. So be prepared for that, soldier. Don't let that sneak up on you and get a sneak attack in. All right, put a star beside this one. This is where we kind of fall over our boots sometimes. All right, we got to work sure we distribute the negative. Okay, so what I mean by that is, there might just be a negative on the outside of parentheses like this. Okay? So if you see that, you see there's no number there. Just like what we had over here, we had no number in front of that x up there. Okay? If you want to, you can put a 1 in front of that, and then you're going to distribute a negative 1 to that and a negative 1 to that. Okay? So that would be negative 1 times 4x plus negative 1 times 7. Alright, so negative 1 times 4x would be negative 4x, and negative 1 times 7 would be negative 7, and you're probably going to see it like that. Okay, I also understand that this is the same thing, and which we're getting ready to talk about additive inverse. So that and that are the same, but you're more than likely going to see it that way on the EOG. Alright, so as we march our way down, let's again, we talked a little bit right there and showed some examples of additive inverse. Let's just remember what that means. Okay. So we're going to take and keep the first number the same. And we're going to change to addition. And then take the opposite or inverse of the second number. All right, can you see all that? Keep the first number the same, change it to addition, inverse the second number. So just minus 8.
If we had a 4x minus 8, Okay, we could go in there and we can do additive inverse to that. If we did additive inverse to that, we'd keep the 4x the same. We'd change the subtract sign to addition, and then of course the opposite of 8 is negative 8. So you can use additive inverse, and that would only be on what type of problems? Subtraction only. Don't do it to anything else but to subtraction only. So if you got a subtract sign in there, you can do additive or inverse. Keep the first number the same, change it to addition, take the opposite of the second number. All right, down here at the bottom, soldier, as we march on down, we're going to do a few examples together, and we're closing down on the end of boot camp, day number 4. Here we go. So let's see, let's try one of these. I'll tell you what, let's take and divide this into 4 sections. So split it right there, and split it right there, and we'll do 4 little examples right here to finish it up. So let's say we've got this one. 4x plus 3y minus 8 minus 11x minus 6y plus 12. Alright, so if you can see that alright, I'll stick it right there. Now, on every one of those subtract signs right there, if you want to, you can make that additive inverse. So I can make that a plus negative, I can make that a plus negative, and I can make that a plus negative. All right, so I did additive inverse on all the subtract signs. Remember, it's subtraction only subtraction. Now let's put these things together. 4x and negative 11x. So if I take and put those two together, 4x and negative 11x is going to give me negative 7x. All right, same thing with the y's. Let's come over here and do them. I got 3y and negative 6y. 3y and negative 6. So 3 and negative 6. Since they're different signs, you're actually going to subtract them. Keep the sign of the bigger number. That's negative 3y. And then my last two things I've got here, of course, are 8 and 12. So if you put those together again, they're different signs. So that basically means you subtract them. 12 minus 8 is 4. And we're going to take the sign of the bigger number, which would be positive. So you can see right there, I've got it in alphabetical order, starting with my x, y, and then my constant comes at the end. Okay, x, y, constant. Let's try another one. Let's do one that's a double distributive property over here. Double distributive property. So we got negative 4 and then n minus 8 minus, and in parentheses, 3n minus 10. So we're going to use that where I talked earlier up there about distributing the negative. We're going to make sure we do that over there. All right. So I am going to make that a plus negative on that subtract sign. Right here, there's no number, so I'm going to put a 1. All right, and I'm also going to do additive inverse on that. Distribute, and I'm going to distribute that negative 1 here in just a second. There's a subtract sign here, so I'm going to make that a plus negative. All right, so negative 4 times n is negative 4n. Negative 4 times negative 8, a negative times a negative is a positive 32. A negative 1 times 3n would give me negative 3n. And a negative 1 times negative 10, a negative times a negative, of course we know that's a positive, and that would just be 1 times 10, which is 10. So now let's put these things together. So we've got negative 4n and negative 3n. Since they're the same sign, you just add them together, which would give you negative 7n. And of course I got 32 and 10 as my constants, so that's easy enough. You just add 32 and 10, and that gives you 42. Hope you're going all right, soldier. Hope you're keeping up. If you keep it up, you're doing a great job. All right, we just got a couple left, and then we'll be shutting her down. All right, let's do one that's got a decimal and a fraction. Let's do a fourth, and then 20x minus 32y plus 0.5, 18x plus 12y. Can you see that all right? Let me move it down just a hair. Okay. So a fourth of 20, that would be 20 divided by 4. That would be 5x. Then right there I can do a little additive inverse on that. And a fourth of negative 32 would be negative 8y. Okay, basically that's 32 divided by 4. Over here, 0.5 is the same thing as a half. So half of 18x would be 9x. And half of 12y would be 6y. So half of 18 is 9, half of 12 is 6. There's no negatives over there. Let's combine them together. 5x and 9x, put them together. that gives me 14x. And then my negative 8y and my 6y, they have different signs. So when they're different signs, you want to subtract them. Take the sign of the bigger number, which is going to be that. And that is going to give you negative 2y. Again, I've got them in alphabetical order, x before my y's. And as we finish up the last one here, I just want to talk to you about factoring out in reverse. You may or may not see this, but it doesn't hurt for me to talk about factoring out real quick. So let's say we've got one like this. We've got negative 15 n plus 45. All right, so you want to see if you can factor out the biggest number out of those two numbers right there. And if you know your numbers, you know 15 goes into 15, 15 goes into 45, and I'm going to factor out the negative. So I'm going to put the negative 15 out here. So negative 15 times what would give me that? So it'd just be a 1, or I can just put an n there. And then a negative times a negative is going to give me a positive. So that would have to be a negative 3. All right, so there's one like that. And if I got one over here similar to that, if I've got 18y minus 42, my biggest number I can pull out of those there would be 6, I believe. So I'm going to put the 6 out there. 6 times 3y would give me 18y, and 6 times a negative 7 would give me negative 42. So that's how factoring out works. Hope this helps you feel like you're getting ready, soldiers, so you can continue your march. Don't forget, we're marching to try to destroy that EOG enemy. And I hope all this helps you get everything figured out for today. Hope you're successful. Go out there and get those MPs, folks. Get those MPs so you can march up the ranks. Until next time, this is Drill Sergeant Reid saying sayonara, adios, and at ease, soldier. Now go get to work.